10 dead and many injured in Bimbilla clashes.
UNAIDS boss confers with President Akufo-Addo.
And GTV, good evening. It's time for News Hour. My name is Soyoko Kwakutre.
And I am Alex Eddy.
Reports say an easy calm has been restored to Bimbilla with economic life returning to normal. But the death toll in yesterday's clashes has risen from 2 to 10 with 11 injured.
The public relations officer of the Northern Regional Police Command, ASP Ebenezer Tete, who confirmed the death toll to Radio Ghana, also said 17 people have been arrested. In an earlier bulletin, our Northern Regional correspondent Mutala Issa gave us an update on the development.
10 dead persons that we are being told. A source in Bimbilla is telling us that the figure could be more because there are some families within the community that still cannot account for some members of the family who went to farms yesterday. And from previous clashes that occurred, we had these groups following each other to the farms and then killing. So the possibility that they could find more bodies as the days go by are very high. But the security are on the ground, the military and police personnel are on the ground with their armored vehicles, and they are making sure that nobody will be hit. Bimbilla that's in Anuba North, is very close to the Republic of Togo. That enclave is so porous. I'm talking about small arms finding their way into the area. Sometimes the information we get is that some of these student factions even use ammunition and arms that the police do not even use. In the last conflict, for instance, a machine gun was seized. And I'm told that it has to do with the porous nature of the border in that area. The curfew is not able to stop people because the police cannot be in every household, they cannot be in every house. People hide from their rooms, they identify their targets, take them out with guns. And in the last crisis again, a sniper, it took them about 3 days to identify and apprehend the sniper. So
the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has granted audience to the Executive Director of the Joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS and UNAIDS and the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Michael Sidibe, at the presidency. The UNAIDS boss urged Ghana to strengthen her fight against HIV and AIDS. He said though Ghana is doing considerably well, more must be done to completely eradicate it.
Mr. Michael Sidibe's visit to the presidency was first to congratulate Nana Akufo-Addo for ascending the highest office of the land. The visit also affords him the opportunity to have first-hand knowledge on the nation's strategy in the fight against HIV and AIDS. In their interaction, Mr. Michael Sidibe called on ECOWAS to produce medications on their own for various diseases rather than always relying on the Western world. He expressed optimism that President Akufo-Addo will step up the fight against HIV.
AIDS has been able to show us only one thing. When you're not inclusive, you're losing. When you're not transparent, it's not working. When you're not thinking about redistribution, you cannot win because you don't reach people who are left behind. And we have been fighting to make sure that we change completely the paradigms of dealing with this epidemic.
President Akufo-Addo pledged his commitment to the cause.
The most important aspect of this meeting is the assurance I want to give you that we're going to take our chairmanship of the board seriously, and we're going to work very closely with you.
Thank you.
In the resources of our government and of our country to prosecute this agenda for ourselves and for the international community as well. So I want you to go away fully assured. We're going to step up to the plate to the extent that we can.
President Akufo-Addo said he has charged the new health minister to ensure there is enough funding for the HIV/AIDS campaign. He also called for a concerted effort in the sub-region to fight the canker.
We have this very sensitive position as chairman of the board. I'm really praying that we can, together, Ghanaians. I'm happy to see the deputy minister here. The national consensus that I think is existing in our own fight against the disease in this country. We can translate it effectively onto the international stage, so that our period as chairman of our tenure will have an impact, that there will be something of an important legacy that we can leave behind in this. That would be, for me, a very satisfactory outcome for us.
The president also pledged to work hard to end mother-to-child transmission in the country.
Still at the presidency, Ghana's drive to ensure that the current generation wins the battle against HIV/AIDS still rages on. The latest hand to join in the noble cause is the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. The UNAIDS Global Executive Director met with the First Lady in Accra to see how best they can roll out a program to neutralize the silent but deadly disease.
The impact of HIV/AIDS is not only a health challenge, but also an economic one as well. In 2001, 3 million people died from HIV/AIDS, making it the world's biggest cause of death. Since that period, new infections globally have fallen by 33%, whereas AIDS-related deaths have fallen by 30%. The year 2015 saw about 2.1 million people newly infected with HIV/AIDS worldwide, and since 2010, there have been no declines in new infections among adults. These statistics from the UNAIDS reveal that the global fight against HIV/AIDS rages on, which Ghana is no exception. To actively involve the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, in its fast-track commitments to end HIV/AIDS by 2030, the UNAIDS has conferred on her the title of the Premier Ambassador for HIV/AIDS. The UNAIDS Global Executive Director, Mr. Michel Sidibe, pledged the UN's continuous support to assist in the fight against the deadly disease in Ghana.
We have 9,000 new infections every week amongst adolescent girls. So I think that is a major challenge for us. I will really ask you to become our voice for that one. I think that is areas where we don't have a lot of First Ladies completely engaged on backing up adolescent girls, trying to give them voice.
The First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, said the economic effect of HIV/AIDS on the society is huge and would throw her weight on the project.
Thank you for making me the Premier Ambassador in Ghana for HIV advocacy. I know it has been the tradition for all First Ladies since 2002. Yeah, and so I'm deeply honored. I know it's a critical issue, HIV. I can't say that I know too much about it, but now that I'm the Premier Ambassador, I'll get to grips with it, and I'm ever ready to help and do what is necessary.
Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo called on development partners to join her team and UNAIDS to embark on a long, intensive campaign to ensure an AIDS-free generation. She promised to make strides during her tenure of office. For GBC24, Ofeyiwa Dakon reports in.
President Nana Akufo-Addo has unveiled the logo for Ghana's 60th independence anniversary. The theme of the Diamond Jubilee is mobilizing for Ghana's future. President Akufo-Addo said the budget for the celebration is 20 million Ghana cedis and hopes the private sector will pick the bill.
In less than a month, Ghana will hit the age of 60, a milestone which has been chalked by her alone in sub-Saharan Africa. But this feat has not been achieved without challenges, including coup d'etat, which turned the political stability clock backwards for 21 years. This implies that since 1957, democracy has been practiced in Ghana for almost 39 years. Some analysts partly blame the economic deceleration in the country to the political instability. The period between 1992 till date have been described by political scientists as the golden age of Ghana's political journey, which has witnessed change of government for 3 consecutive times without any upheavals. Come 6 March, Ghana will be 60 years old, and to the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, despite economic challenges, it is worth celebrating.
We have reason to celebrate? Yes. Do we have reason to reflect? Yes. Do we have reason to challenge ourselves today? Yes. There are Ghanaians, many of them unsung, who have distinguished themselves quietly, meaningfully, modestly. Some have blazed a trail in this country and across the world. Yes, we must tell the Ghanaian story first to ourselves.
50 years is described as a golden jubilee, while 60 is diamond jubilee. The president described the anniversary as a jubilee for the private sector.
I've instructed the planning committee to come up with a plan to develop significant projects that can stand as national monuments for this diamond jubilee. Marking such an occasion will cost us some money. This diamond jubilee commemoration is estimated to cost some 20 million Ghana cedis. And I'm hoping that individual Ghanaians, the Ghanaian private sector and corporate Ghana in particular, will provide the funds for this anniversary. My ambition is to commemorate this anniversary with a minimal or no burden at all on the national treasury.
Some captains of the private sector said the description is apt in that without effective collaboration between the public and the private sector, the goals of the country can hardly be achieved.
When you look at 60 years of this country, and you look at entrepreneurs, you could look at far back, so many companies that have thrived but couldn't succeed. When you are talking about captain of industries, in the foreign world, they go to 120 years, their company, the Coca-Cola, the fan milk and big companies that have thrived several years. I went to Denmark and the company there is 250 years old. In Africa, the maximum companies thrive sometimes few years. When the political dispensation comes, companies thrive off and others come. And I think that it's appropriate that we look back, look at companies that have done well and see how best they stay for jubilee years.
I also like the theme that mobilizing for the future. And you see in the logo 3 people coming together. And I believe that this is the time for all of us as Ghanaians to come together to make sure that this celebration will be meaningful. And those of us in corporates should be able to support the nation, celebrate this.
Kwaku Dansu Misa is a member of the Ghana 60th Anniversary Planning Committee and explained the rationale behind the logo.
And if you look at the logo, where you have the 0, you have 3 people coming together. What we're saying is that if we don't unite, we can't move forward together. The black, which is very dominant, represents us, the black star of Africa.
The theme for Ghana's 60 years anniversary is mobilizing for Ghana's future. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC24.
You're still watching News Hour Live. Moving on to other stories, the Amir, a missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslims mission in Ghana, Alhaji Mohammed bin Saleh, has paid a courtesy call on the Director General of GBC, Dr. Kwame Akufo-Addo Into. The visit was to express appreciation to the corporation for the long-standing relationship and services GBC has been rendering to the mission.
The Amir and missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission in Ghana, Alhaji Mohammed bin Sahi, was accompanied by the national executives of the mission to express appreciation to GBC for the services the corporation has been rendering to the nation over the years. The Amir was exceptionally grateful that GBC has over the years supported the mission anytime the corporation has been called upon to do so.
So you see us here this afternoon, it's a follow-up, a reenacting of that same tradition, which we've always vowed to keep going. Since you became the Director General, we haven't followed you. We that's the reason why we decided to come today.
The Director General of GBC, Dr. Kwame Kufu-Anov-Nto, thanked the Ahmadiyya Mission for having supported GBC through a number of training programs. He reminded the delegation that as a public service broadcaster, GBC would always serve the people.
Our mandate, by its very nature, therefore, makes it mandatory for us to open our arms and to consider everybody as a constituent. One of our critical, identifiers as a public service broadcaster is our universality of which. It's inconceivable that we can claim to be doing our job if we do not make it an equal responsibility to get feedback from the people we serve in whatever capacity.
The Amir presented 2 books, including a copy of the Quran and the philosophies of the teachings of Islam, to Dr. Anov-Nto.
The government and people of the Islamic Republic of Iran are celebrating the 38th anniversary of the Iranian Revolution that took place in February 1979. Iran's ambassador to Ghana, Dr. Nosratollah Maleki, and the acting chief director of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Edwin Nieje, expressed satisfaction with the cordial relationship that has existed between Ghana and Iran over the years. They also called for renewal of commitment on both sides to further deepen their bilateral and multilateral cooperation.
The Iranian Revolution, led by Grand Ayatollah Khamenei, overthrew the Pahlavi dynasty 38 years ago. It replaced the pro-Western government of Shah Pahlavi. The new government became very popular among most Iranians, and a new name, Islamic Republic of Iran, was chosen through a national referendum. On the occasion of the 38th anniversary celebrations, government officials, Muslim chiefs, diplomats, friends and well-wishers joined officials of the Iranian embassy and Iranian community in Ghana at a short ceremony in Accra to commemorate the event. Dr. Nosratollah Maliki said Iran, a member of the non-aligned movement, is an important player in the Middle East and has maintained peaceful relationship with the rest of the world. He said progress has been made between his country and world powers, leading to the lifting of nuclear power-related sanctions against them.
On bilateral relations, Islamic Republic of Iran and Republic of Ghana have witnessed the exchange of various high-level delegations such as presidents and foreign ministers, and recently His Excellency Dr. Shariat Madari, the Executive Deputy of the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a delegation to the inaugural ceremony of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Iran is doing its best to be part of the development process of Ghana in the fields of energy, education, health, science, mining, agriculture, through its investment companies as well as its other registered institutions such as Iran Clinic, Agricultural and Rural Development, ARD, and the Islamic University College, which admit both Muslims and Christian students, with some of them offered a scholarship.
On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, the acting chief director of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Edwin Nieje, wished Iranians well on the occasion.
There is no denying the fact that over the last 37 years, Islamic Republic of Iran has chalked many laudable achievements in the political, socio-economic, and scientific fields. And Excellency, as you rightly indicated, the successes scored within the international arena after almost 2 years of tough negotiations and diplomatic engagement with world leaders that led to the signing of a joint comprehensive plan of action on 14 July 2015, as well as your country's implementation in 2016 culminated in the lifting of the UN-backed sanctions on Iran, and this has ultimately seen Iran's restoration to its rightful place within the international community. The positive outcome of Iran's nuclear negotiations has reinforced the significance of diplomatic negotiations to the international community and the need to resort to dialogue and constructive engagement to resolve global conflicts.
The warm diplomatic ties between Ghana and Iran have resulted in the holding of 5 rounds of comprehensive joint missions. A 6th one is in the offing.
We're still live on GBC24 and GTV, and you're watching News Our Business is next.
Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us. It's time for business, and I'm Dorothy Ajimai. A review conducted by a team of IMF officials reviewed Ghana's debt to GDP ratio increased further to close to 74% of GDP at end 2016. The team led by Joel Tujas Banetti noted that while the estimated economic growth of 6.3% in 2016 exceeded the fund's target of 3.3%, the decline in inflation has been slower than expected.
The IMF team arrived in the country this week to review the country's economic development in 2016 and the outlook for 2017. They engaged in a dialogue about the new government's economic plans and discussed prospects for program engagement with the IMF. In a statement copied to GBC24, the team revealed that Ghana's economy continues to face challenges. The team attributes the large deviations to poor oil and non-oil revenue performance and large expenditure overruns. In 2016, the overall fiscal deficit deteriorated to an estimated 9% of GDP, instead of a decline of 5.14% of GDP as envisaged under the IMF support program. The current account deficit, however, narrowed to 6.5% of GDP, contributing to a small buildup of foreign exchange reserves. As a result, the government debt to GDP ratio increased further to close to 74% of GDP at the end of 2016. The team noted that the large fiscal slippages observed last year will require strong efforts, fiscal consolidation to support debt sustainability. The new government's intention to reduce tax exemptions, improve tax compliance, and review the widespread earmarking of revenues should help in this regard, the statement said. The team welcomes the new government's intention to conduct a full audit of outstanding obligations, its commitment to transparency, and its readiness to take strong remedial actions to ensure the integrity of the PFM system going forward.
Local manufacturers are advocating a policy that regulates the quality of imports by shopping malls. They want the policy to oblige operators of these malls to buy a percentage of their wares from local sources. Ghana has in the last decade and more witnessed the springing up of malls, most of them foreign, importing a chunk of their wares from outside Ghana's shores.
There are currently 8 known shopping malls in Ghana, occupied and operated by foreign retailers importing a chunk of their wares. From vegetables to fruits, pastries and beverages, the shelves of most of these stores are filled with imported items. Apart from the strain importation puts on the local currency, it denies the country's youth of the much needed jobs. Currently, the local currency is trading at 4 cedis 37 pesos against the US dollar on the interbank market. A recent AGI survey shows high imports and the depreciation of the Ghana cedi are of a major concern to the Ghanaian manufacturer.
Influx of imported goods, we still seem to have a big challenge with this. Lots of the products we are consuming in the country are still imported. Therefore, companies are still complaining about it.
Local manufacturers say, although the presence of malls per se is not a bad idea, there must be regulations that allow local manufacturers to feed these malls.
It is not bad in itself, but let us understand that, service sectors cannot create that mass jobs employment that our teeming youth are looking for. It's only manufacturing that can really give us the number of jobs, you see, that we are looking for. So it's quite worrying, and we need to manage it as a country.
An executive member of the AGI and chief executive of Slick Garment Exports calls for a policy that obliges operators of these malls to buy a percentage of their wares from local sources.
It's a good thing to have malls in Ghana. It improves the tourism outlook. You know, people, especially the young ones, like to spend time at the malls. Malls offer various goods, a variety for the buying public. But then we would need a policy that demands or mandates that these foreign entities purchase a certain percentage of their goods from local manufacturers.
She contends that most Ghanaian goods are of high quality and packaging that meet international standards.
Because some of us manufacturers are actually producing goods that sell on the international arena. So quality is not an issue, and where quality is an issue, it can be addressed. You know, so this is where we have a challenge, that most of the goods are imported, and we have become an import-dependent economy, which is not auguring well for the manufacturing sector.
A World Bank report indicates that Africa's urban population will double over the next 25 years, reaching 1 billion people by 2040. Ghana is one of the countries that are expected to experience this exponential growth in population. The report stresses that economic development must match that growth in population.
The World Bank report shows that Africa is urbanizing at lower incomes compared to other developing regions with similar levels of urbanization. This calls for efficiency in every dollar of public investment in cities in Africa.
These investments support large concentrations of employment and people in different parts of the city. And this investment connects city residents with opportunity, and at the same time provide the services and the amenities that make cities livable, and by making them livable, they are more attractive to the innovators, to the best brains from the country.
According to the chief economist at the World Bank Africa region, Mr. Albert Zufak, the key to freeing African cities from the low development trap is to institute effective urban planning and also to make infrastructure investments that allow for interlinkages among infrastructure and industrial development.
It's about focusing on productivity, on increasing productivity in Africa. And if you focus on productivity, as we are doing as part of our next flagship report, then you cannot afford but to link agriculture with urbanization. It's the rise in productivity in agriculture that would lead resources to be freed in the rural sector, idle resources to move to urban areas.
Given these conditions, efficiency and productivity can lead to African cities becoming a strong catalyst for economic developments.
You're watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. On the interbank market, the pound is selling at 5 cedis 48 pesos. The US dollar is selling at 4 cedis 37 pesos, and the euro is also trading at 4 cedis 66 pesos. On the commodities market, light crude is trading at $53.51 per barrel and cocoa at $1,968 per ton. Gold is going for $1,224.70 an ounce. That's it for business. The health segment is next. Please do stay.
Thank you for staying on. In this segment, the Margaret Makot Catholic Hospital at Pando in the Volta region has marked the 25th World Day of the Sick with a call on health workers to exhibit professionalism towards the sick. The occasion was also used to launch the whole Catholic Diocesan Best Health Worker Awards.
The World Day of the Sick was instituted by Pope John Paul II on 11 February 1992. The day provides the opportunity to reflect in particular on the needs of the sick and those who assist the sick and the poor through caregiving. These people include family members, health workers and volunteers. The Catholic Health Service has therefore adopted the day to honor the efforts of all health workers in their health institutions. The theme for this year's ceremony was amazement at what God has accomplished. The Almighty has done great things for me. The medical director in charge of the Margaret Makot Catholic Hospital, Reverend Sister Dr. Lucy Homoto, who said it was very unfortunate that some people still have misconceptions about ill health. According to her, people have lost their lives because of such misconceptions. She advised the sick to seek early treatment.
Some of us have distorted concepts about illness. In our society, this phenomenon is very common. The negative effect of this is that the first point of call is to the faith healer and prayer comes. This is a time we must give support in its totality. It is this support that makes the transition from this world to the next a smooth, acceptable, meaningful, and manageable process.
The former Member of Parliament for Agotimo Jiopi, Madame Juliana Zuma Mensah, who was also a former Executive Secretary of the whole Catholic Health Service, commended the health workers, particularly Margaret Makot Hospital, for providing excellent healthcare delivery to its catchment area. She encouraged health workers not to be shaken by challenges.
It means that we really have to have interface with patients who should want you to demonstrate utmost care. We therefore urge all of you, and especially the care providers, to strive hard to find ways to overcoming the challenges so that quality healthcare is not compromised.
The occasion was also used to launch the whole Catholic Diocese Best Health Workers Awards.
A multi-purpose farmer, Ernest Yeboah, has donated 10,000 Ghana cedis to defray the cost involved in Vera Nkume's surgery. 10-year-old Vera is suffering from a congenital heart abnormality and appealed on GBC24 on Thursday for 9,000 Ghana cedis to undergo corrective surgery at the Komfo Teaching Hospital.
After watching the appeal for funds on the news on GBC24 for Vera Nkuma, hoping to raise 9,000 Ghana cedis for corrective surgery at the Komfo Teaching Hospital, Sir Ernest Agbemo Yeboah promptly responded. He says he was touched by a plight and came to Vera's aid with 10,000 Ghana cedis.
I was seriously touched by that story. So I'm here to present a check of 10,000 Ghana cedis to take care of all the expenses that she may incur at the hospital, and thereafter let us be posted so I can follow up to take care.
According to Sir Ernest Agbemo Yeboah, even though the surgery cost 9,000 cedis, he decided to round up the figure to 10,000 cedis. He says the 1,000 Ghana cedis in excess will help with Vera's upkeep after the surgery.
I have more news in this package. Don't go away.
Hello, let's talk sports. Good evening. From next week, visually impaired persons in Ghana with football skills will have the opportunity to hone their skills and earn a decent living. Next week, the first blind football league is expected to be launched in Accra.
and the head coach of the German blind football team, Dr. Rolf Horstmann, are in the country to launch the sport. Interacting with GBC24 Sports, the team said they were delighted to introduce the sports in the country.
I will mostly always come to Ghana, visit, make sure this project goes on well, then to have the national team, then to go and participate in October. They have an African Cup in October in Cape Verde.
Okay.
That is coming on this year, and I want Ghana to represent.
We are, next weekend, we are planting seeds, but it will be up to the Ghanaians to water the seeds. Then we can harvest in autumn. The wonderful thing with this is we more or less do it without money. I'm a retired person. I get nothing for my involvement here. Just my airplane ticket has been paid. Accommodation is provided by Frederick. Kofi is just here on his own. So we do it with no means. And if we succeed, this will be a great triumph. And if we succeed, then money will come automatically.
An executive member of the International Blind Sports Association, IBSA, Mr. Frederick Asso, was excited about the launch in the country.
I don't know how to express my relief, because I've dreamt for this when I was applying for the IPSA position, and fortunately I had it. But how to start with it, develop it in Ghana, because I come from Ghana, I can't move out from Ghana to any other country to say I'm going to develop it. The wise is not in my country. We have 1,001 players in Ghana.
Visually impaired.
Have the skill. I tell you. We have a lot of, because even then, the normal football in the blind schools, we put them into rubber, these polythene bags, so that we can hear the sound and play. So now that we have the good balls, and we are going to get a good pitch, I tell you, you see a lot of talents.
The headline sponsor of the Blind Football League, the Dan Devan Group, promised to make the sport national in character.
We are very privileged to be part of the genesis of the blind football in Ghana. We are looking forward for great opportunity where persons with disability, like the blind, who also have a career, who also have opportunity to show their talent, their God-given talent. We are so much sure that in the couple of years to come, this sport discipline is going to see the light of day, where we're going to have leagues being played, we're going to have international competitions across the West African belt.
The first Blind Football League will be launched next week in Accra. It's now where the president of the Ghana Athletics Association, Professor Francis Dodu, is confident of raising a team to compete for the World Athletics Relays in the Bahamas in April and the World Athletics Championship in London in August. Professor Dodu says he expects the upcoming National Circuit Championship to set the tone for the qualification process.
2017 is the down year in the Olympic quadrennial cycle. This means there are no African Championships, no Commonwealth Games, and no Olympic Games. This further means all sports associations must focus on their various World Championships, with the local athletes season set to start next week. GBC24 asked the president of the Ghana Athletics Association, Professor Francis Dodu, about plans in place for the year.
The circuit starts in Tamale. After that, the plan is to go to Accra, I think 4 weeks after that, and then there will be either Western or Central region, and then I think one in Ashanti, and that will sort of wrap up the circuit for this year. We're talking to a sponsor who has indicated some interest in funding sort of a return to the national championship kind of thing. So hopefully we'll have a junior or senior national championship at the end of July or thereabouts. Those are the domestic sort of competitions that we anticipate.
Professor Dodu said the standards for the qualifications are now higher and athletes must up their game if they want to be counted among the best.
We will try to get to the World Championships with the athletes, but the standards are really high. And we'll also try to go to the World Relays. That's at the end of April in the Bahamas. And again, we've got, our women's 4x1 has shown us they're number 14 in the world, and so that's definitely a team that we need to look at. We also have a very budding women's 4x4 4x4. If you look at the times, I mean, Shoki Adrisu ran 52.8, Agnes Abrokwa ran 53.0, Ekwe Obinga Krufi ran 53.1 last year, and if they knock down a bit more of those times, they might be a legit team also. Now we wait for the men's 4x1. Sean Safwenchi needs to lead a team together, but what Emmanuel Yeboah did last week in Cape Coast is evidence that any of those relays could be there, and those are the two international competitions we want to shoot for: the Bahamas World Relays and the World Championships. And then our youth have the very last. There's going to be one last youth World Youth Championships this year. It's going to be in Kenya. This is the under 18, the 17, and under 1. And once we start our competitions in a month, we'll see which of our youth athletes emerge, and then we'll see whether we can find the funding to take them.
So let's talk football now, where outgoing Black Stars coach Avam Grant says the Black Stars still stand a good chance of making it to Russia 2018 FIFA World Cup. The Stars are third in Group H with a point from a possible 6 after recording a draw with Uganda and losing to Egypt. Thanks for watching. That's all for sports.
The organizer of Overflow Experience and the producer of the movie One Last Look, Hazana Sampa, says the movie preaches against divorce. Hazana and members of the cast spent some time on our arts and entertainment segment, Showbiz, on GBC24.
I've had problems in my marriage. When men are talking about marriage, don't you even dare cough. Now get out of my office.
Hasana Sampa said the Overflow Experience is a packed event with lots of entertainment.
On the event, we are going to have a movie premiere, and then we'll have performances from gospel. It's a Christian event, first of all, and then we have special performances, special ministration actually, from ministers of God, and then we'll have comedy.
Oh wow!
From the king of comedy himself, Akpororo.
She explains why the Overflow Experience and the premiere of the movie is taking place on the chosen day.
I wanted to do something more creative.
Something
I wanted
different.
to have, yes, a difference and at least a touch of class. We just want it to be very, very entertaining.
The Overflow Experience and the premiere of the movie One Last Look is scheduled for 12 February this year, 6 p.m. at the Accra International Conference Center.
We have 12 minutes now, or case the big contract. Goodbye.
I'm only asking you to learn from your friend. Just be a good woman. That's all I'm asking from you.
And that's it for entertainment segments. Coming up is the weather report.
The Winko Weather Report, brought to you by Adriane Hene with technical support from the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
Lovely evening to you. Welcome to the weather segment brought to you by Adriana Hene. My name is now Ofebia Jebewu. Tonight, Thursday, tomorrow morning, slightly hazy weather would persist in the country. For the northern sectors, temperature would be 21 degrees Celsius. For those over the middle sectors, temperature would be 23 and 24 degrees Celsius. For those along the coastal belt of the country, temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius. Low and normal humidity is recorded in the country. In the afternoon, partly cloudy weather and a chance of sunshine is expected. Maximum temperatures 39 degrees Celsius were recorded for the northern sectors of the country, 35 degrees Celsius for those over the transitional parts and the forest areas respectively. For those along the coastal belt, temperature would be 32 degrees Celsius. For the next 24 hours, this is how we're expecting your localities to look like. Next on your screen is the forecast for the next 48 hours. Do stay. That's it for the weather update. Good evening. Have a good weekend.
Before we go and look once again at the headlines. 10 people are reported dead and many more have received various degrees of injuries in Bimbila. The PRO of the Northern Regional Police Command, ASP Ebenezer Tete, has made The command has made several arrests and investigations are going on.
Now, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has granted audience to the Executive Director of the Joint United Nations Programs on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS, and the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Michael Sidibe, at the presidency. The UNAIDS boss urged Ghana to strengthen her fight against HIV/AIDS.
And Kenya's president has declared a drought which has affected as much as half the country a national disaster. Uhuru Kenyatta appealed for international aid and said the government would increase food handouts to the most needy communities. And that's all we have by way of news for now. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, the late edition is at 10 p.m.
Good evening.